G'day Internet, Max Wright here, and I hope you guys had a great 4th of July long weekend. I know I did. And so we got lots of fun stuff to talk about. Some interesting on-chain data we're going to take a look at. We're going to hear from Cathie Wood, who had a very interesting perspective in an interview, I believe it was yesterday, and really does set the scene for what's going to happen here in the next 6 months. For those of you new to the channel, I am very, very, very excited about the next 6 months. This last pullback was healthy, it was exaggerated, which means we get, and it was exaggerated for another reason. The first quarter of the year was exaggerated when we went up from 10,000. Well, that was last year, but from 10,000 to 60,000 happened really, really fast. That was exaggerated. This correction was exaggerated, and the next leg up, I believe, will also be exaggerated. And it's just going to set the scene for an absolutely phenomenal next 6 months. And we start to see some data coming through. So let's start with this one. So what we're looking at here, the line here is just the price of Bitcoin, right? Now, this orange histogram down here, it is the balance of Bitcoin on exchanges as measured in Bitcoin. So what this means is the number of Bitcoin on exchanges steadily went down for a very long time, since way back here, August of 2020, right? And during that time, the price generally just went straight up. There's a reason. If the orthodox thing to do is, if you just want to hodl, you get your Bitcoin off an exchange, you hold it on a Trezor, you hold it in a paper wallet, you hold it offline, it's more secure. The only reason to leave it on an exchange is if you're a trader or you're selling. And so this long-term trend of people taking coins off exchanges was a very, very bullish sign that this was going to happen, that the price of Bitcoin was going to go north. Now, here we start to see this pattern play out where Bitcoin's highs are getting weaker and weaker, right? And that translates, some people are like, I don't like the look of this. This looks like the bull run is weakening, and they start to deposit their coins on exchanges. You'll see from here the trend is up. Notice when this trend started, we still had not made the all-time high. So this is a leading indicator. It gives us a heads up. People start bringing coins onto the exchange. And what do you know? It's still all the way down to here. Look at how many coins went from cold storage onto the exchange, right? It was a significant trend reversal. And only then did we see the price of Bitcoin have the really sharp fall, right? All the way down here. Up here, I think we're at like 58, all the way down here to the 30. So, but what we have seen now is a trend. Now, they've drawn this trend with a downslope. I think that's a little bit generous. That looks like a high and an even high to me. But nonetheless, even this just kind of flattening out is really significant. It looks like this uptrend has been reversed. And there's a little bit of a war, a little bit of a balance between the hodlers and the liquidators. And we're seeing how we're going to go in there. Now, I suspect what we're going to see over the next 6 months is this chart will actually roll over and head down, and we will actually make new lows on exchange, right? I just feel it. There is a very, very strong hodl mentality forming right now. It is strong hands that are scooping up Bitcoins. Weak hands are selling. They got scared by the 50% drop. The strong hands, they're honey badgers. They don't care. They buy no matter what, and they are scooping up the bargains. And I think it all points to a very, very good next 6 months. A little bit of on-chain data there to back up the thesis that I've had for quite a while. Let's take a quick look at the Bitcoin price. It's been kind of boring here. We're on the hourly chart. It's been chopping around sideways, doing that pretty much the whole weekend. A little bit of a yawn. But the Wyckoff pattern is still in play. We are still just chopping around. We started off testing the lows, chopping around here. And if we go back to the Wyckoff method here, we come down, we chop around, we make higher lows, higher highs. We work our way up out of this bottom half of the band, and then we take off, right? That seems to be still in play. There was a lower low here, a little bit of a question mark, but we are doing higher highs all the way up. And actually, I would love for this to be the case. Let me just go ahead and plot this out. I would love to see a symmetrical triangle here from Bitcoin. Bitcoin loves symmetrical triangles. I love symmetrical triangles. They're magical. Could that be done that way? eliminate these outliers. We've got some touch points here, here, and here, and maybe we have the beginnings of a very sexy symmetrical triangle. For those of you who don't remember, we've been making descending triangles over and over. Here's one long line here and the flat baseline down here. We have been having descending triangles over and over. We did just come down, confirm support on the top of this trend line, but we have done that in the past and it's faked us out. So I'm very skeptical to trust that and believe that. But just good to know, good to know. My trades are still open. For those of you who don't remember, I took this long position down here. I think it was a little higher than that. It was about 31,000 and a half. We're going to took that position here, and we've been riding this ever since. So that is still in play. And I did just want to come over here, the Bitcoin dominance chart. This fell down. I suggested that it absolutely might do this. Come back down and retest this area. I'll kick to the daily. Now, I don't want to see it drop below this. I think that would be a very weak sign, and I think it would push the recovery out longer, right? Now, let's bring it in here. So this kind of W pattern around here, just reaffirming it has to be Bitcoin's turn. If Bitcoin does not get a clear turn we had this huge altcoin bull run. If Bitcoin does not take its turn, then it's just going to delay the market. And we have to keep going in this sideways pattern until the altcoiners are fully demoralized. We saw something like that here. It battled with it, broke above this trend line, and actually cleared away. We see in here, we are battling with these trend lines right here, and we need Bitcoin to pull away and set it up clear. So the fact that we fell back down to 45, this is going to delay us, in my opinion. This is going to delay. And I really don't want to see we're at the bottom of this area now. I don't want to see it drop below. So just a little bit of a catch up there on what's going on with that one. All right, let's head over now to Cathie Wood. So she was asked a very important question, or she gets asked a very important question. I only just learned this in this interview, but Cathie Wood is a deflationist. Now, deflationists are actually pretty hard to find. The vast majority of people are thinking it's inflation, 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 inflation. Pardon me. I am on the fence. I'm in the middle. Look, the obvious response is with all this money printing, then of course, the normal thing to think is inflation. However, there's another side of the equation. The other side of the equation is everything is in a bubble. Michael Burry, famous for, he was portrayed by Michael Bailey in The Big Short. He was like the first guy to pick The Big Short in 2008, 2009. And so he said we're in an everything bubble except an order of magnitude higher. So, right, he is extremely bearish. But it's very obvious that the system desperately wants to unwind. The system wants to deleverage. The system wants to have a really huge, sharp correction to the downside. That's what the system wants. The central bankers, the money planners, the money printers, they won't let it happen. They keep printing money, keep flooding the market with their trash fiat. And the question is, do we have this big pullback? I think if we do have this big pullback, there will just be an unprecedented amount of money printing, and then we will go into a very, very high inflationary period. But the question is, do we get this big deleveraging and unwinding first? And man, I gotta say that knowing, understanding economics doesn't count for anything. It just doesn't matter. It all matters is how much are they willing to print. If they can print enough so that nothing goes down ever. It doesn't mean that you're in a bull market. What it means is that the currency is devaluing and you're in hyperinflation. But they have the power to do that, and it looks like they show their cards that that's what they intend to do at all times. But there is a big deleveraging moment going to come, but maybe they just nip it in the bud every single time. So it's really, really hard to know. And sadly, knowledge of economics counts for zero. The question is, what is their plan? The guys at Davos, the guys at the central banks, all these people who coordinate our lives, the central planners of the world, they have a plan. And usually it's the exact opposite of whatever they're saying. And so it's just, knowing economics just doesn't count for anything. The question is, what are they planning? What do they want to do? And that's the big question. Now, with that in mind, Cathie Wood says, listen, she is a deflationist. She thinks everything is going to crash. So it's very, very interesting. Why is she so bullish on Bitcoin? Why is she so bullish on certain growth stocks? Well, let's hear her answer. We'll talk about it here in a second.
You wonder how we could be positive at all about Bitcoin if we're not worried about inflation. Well, I think 08, 09 is a very good reason why. Why did 08, 09 almost melt the financial world down? It did so because of counterparty risk. And what we've just seen in the crypto market is really interesting. It's been cut in half, 2 trillion to 1 trillion, the ecosystem, in the last few months, just cut in half. Can you imagine what would happen if our asset equity prices, bond prices were cut in half in the span of a few months with all the leverage out there? I think we'd be in a counterparty risk problem again, a big mess. Maybe not as big of a mess as we were in 08, 09, because there have been some changes. But I do not believe that our financial world would withstand a 50% drop as easily as the DeFi world has. DeFi, while a lot of people who were leveraged 100 times elsewhere in the world were wiped out. I think, now I'm going to get this number wrong, it was either 86,000 or 860,000 accounts wiped out. DeFi didn't skip a beat. I don't think we could say that for the traditional financial world. And I do think that's why the shift towards DeFi, helped now by central banks moving into stable coins and legitimizing digital currencies, even though that's very different from Bitcoin. I do think we're going to accelerate further and faster into the DeFi world. And that too is very exciting. And as you know, if Bitcoin's price on a trend basis, remember, we're still a triple since last September. We may have been cut in half, but we were still a triple since last. And if the price continues to move up, what does that mean? That means increased purchasing power, which is what deflation is. So very consistent with our view of the world. And now onto the markets. As we've said all year long, this bull market has strengthened. It has deflected all kinds of bad news. The doubling in interest rates in the first quarter, the Archegos leverage blow up in the ecosystem, which many thought could cause systemic problems. We've been through tax hike discussions, which sounded pretty onerous in terms of their impact on capital. And we've seen a big correction. We certainly were right in the middle of it in valuations as those interest rates went up in the higher valuation side of the market, particularly if one is looking at valuations as of this year on this year's earnings. So we're very happy at the way the market has performed. It's up double digits, and we've seen now a shift, a rotation back from value as some of these prices have started to unwind, the commodity prices in particular, towards growth. But I think we're going to see toggling back and forth until some of the confusion that I'm discussing here dissipates. It's going to be so...
So yeah, really, really important information there. And I can't say the reasons why, but Raoul Pal has the same opinion. He's like, he thinks deflation is very much a possibility. And yet, even in that environment, he's still bullish on Bitcoin. And the reason that Cathie just offered there is just one of the reasons. But she's absolutely correct in during some kind of crisis, how much would we as citizens and investors, how much would we crave the certainty and knowledge of DeFi? We don't want the fat cats getting bailed out and we get stuck with the bill. We don't want the favored parties getting saved, and when the little guy gets wiped out, they just let him get wiped out and get slaughtered. We just want a level playing field. And if we do a big bet and are highly leveraged and we get wiped out, we understood the risk going in. We accept that. We don't want it to crash the system because we took a big bet. That's stupid to design a system that's like that. Because what you do is you're encouraging people to take big bets. They get bailed out, and so the big banks go and take big bets that threaten to destroy the entire economic planet, and then we go and bail them out, so they're going to do it again. We don't want to play in that world anymore. And people will be hungry, will be craving for a fair field, a level playing field, and a robust level playing field that isn't going to crash just because some big stupid actor came in and made a huge loss. And DeFi has proven that. And so, eventually, now don't get me wrong, I think you will see a pullback in the price there. But eventually, you're just going to see this flight to the world of cryptocurrencies and DeFi, and it's going to be glorious, and it's going to be it's been too long. It's been too long, and so it's just very, very cool that we get to be here and be investors in it. And all you have to do is be in the cryptocurrency game, because all cryptocurrency will be winners. Bitcoin will be winners. DeFi protocols will be winners, and things like that. So it's just going to be very, very good. All right, guys, we'll wind that up there. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think Cathie Wood's got it right? Do you think I've got it right? Are we up for an absolutely explosive second 6 months to this year? Let me know. Or have we got it wrong? Have we hit our peak and we are going to continue to go down? Smash that like button if you enjoyed this content. Hit that subscribe button. We love this kind of content here, and we do it all the time. So stay tuned, and I will see you soon.